see, iRobot. Then this is after 10 minutes. But in the description box, I got that after 5 minutes. So, okay, what happens in the next 10 minutes or so? So, I mean, in the next 5 minutes. So I just recapped the first 5 minutes. Just initial reactions, things that made me think about. Now, within the next 10 minutes, oh yeah. So the mom was like, Gigi, if that is his mom, because he's calling her Gigi. But so he's also like, she was like, they're giving away them, they got a little raffle or something, they're giving away the new robot. And he was like, now, the robots ain't no good. Now he says that. And she was like, you of all people should know better, like this and that third. So that's why I said, like, it was one of them things where it's different, where the younger generation is apprehensive of the technology, whereas the older generation is more accepting of it. So usually, as of right now, you see like there's a switch, and it just depends on who it's a case by case. It's not overall. It's just a blanket statement. But right now, it is like older people, as far as like with technology, but the other thing about that though is the millennials were the last generation that had experienced life before like those major technology advances and upgrades. So every generation after the millennials, this is why it's like that is such a huge thing, is because every person born now is born of iPad, iPod, cell phones. So millennials were just that last generation to be born like devoid of that. So and I'm saying that in the sense of that eventually millennials become like the old generation, and then whatever the generation after millennials is, eventually they become of the older, and eventually like all they never know is technology, so they'll be comfortable with technology and not and going forward and stuff like that. But as of it stands right now, like it's just like the older generation was there and lived their younger formative years without technology, so there's a fear behind it, whereas the younger generation kind of grew up coming with it, and so there's not as much fear apprehension behind the technology and AI. So I'm saying that within that conversation. So she was like, they're giving away a new robot, and he was like, them robots ain't no good, and don't do nobody no good. And she was like, you of all people shouldn't be thinking that, whatever. Anyway, she was like, are you listening to me? He was like, so he does this whole, I guess that's like a joke with them, like he'll act like he's asleep. So there's that. He leaves. So he's walking down the street eating a sweet potato pie. And now somebody's like, hey, like he does hear this shout or whatever, like, hey, or whatever. And there's a robot running. So he gives somebody, here, hold my pie. Hold it or your face is going to whatever. I forget how he says it, something like that. But basically it's like, either hold it or you're going to be wearing it. I think he said something like that. Hold it or you're going to wear it, like the sweet potato pie here. And then so he goes chasing after this robot. And the robot's like running with his purse. So he's like, hey, thief, or whatever, right? So he's doing that. So he's running down the street, chasing his robot. And then finally gets to a point where he tackles the robot. He tackles the robot, and but at the last little moment, the robot had kind of just like, it was right there near where it was supposed to be at. And so the purse like falls right in front of the lady, and the lady grabs the purse, and she has asthma. So so I didn't necessarily know exactly what he is, but he's a cop. So he tackles the robot and is like, I got him, this ain't that, boom, boom. And the lady was like, you're an asshole. I didn't need saving. The scene from Incredibles. I didn't ask to be saved. The guy who goes in front of the door. But this wasn't like that. This wasn't, but she was like, she had left her inhaler at home. So she sent the robot to go get it. So the robot had went and got it and came back. It's those types of things, right? Like if you have to do something or whatever, like that's a very like helpful thing that the robot could do and will be able to do in the future, right? So she left her inhaler at home, and instead of leaving for wherever she was at, the robot goes and get it and was bringing it back to her. So she was like, the robot was in saying third, boom, boom, boom. And so he was like, oh my father said third, da, da, da. Well, he was like, have a nice day, ma'am. Like, he doesn't try to, what you call it too much. He doesn't try to justify whatever he did. He's like, all right, well, have a nice day, ma'am. Of course, she like, lucky for you. And this and the third, I walk my foot up and down your. So she says she says that. He's like, have a nice day, man. This and the third. So he gets back to the police station, and in the police station, um, the lady is recognizable. I just don't know her name. When he gets to the police station, I guess the chief of police guy, he's also recognizable. They're both black actor. One's an actress and another actor, but they're recognizable. I just don't know from where or this and third, but they're also recognizable. So the chief, he sees him because so his last name is Spooner. His name is Dale Spooner, so that's why they call him Spoon. Um, or that's why the Shia LaBeouf was like Spoonie, Spoonie. Um, because the chief also called him Spoon as well. So his name is Dale Spooner. So he comes, Dale, which is Will Smith, sits down at his computer and eventually, he just gets right straight to logging in or whatever. But then the chief, says to him, is like, and he goes over and talks to him, and then he's like, "You want to talk about it?" And then he's like, "Talk about what?" And then the other cops start making a joke. Oh no, the robot has my dry cleaning. And he's like, oh, you want to talk about that? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, son, talk about this and that. So he kind of brushed it off, and he was like, when has a robot ever committed a crime in the history of ever? Just give me, how many times has a robot ever committed a crime? Right. So his boss is saying that, like, how many times has a robot ever committed a crime? And he's like, oh, okay, none. Okay. And so he was like, yeah. So why are you out here, going after robots? Like, no, a robot has never committed a crime. So what are you, So he says that. Then he's like, okay, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but now the chief alludes to something happening, because he was like, listen, if you're not ready to come back, you don't have to come back right now. And he was like, nah, I'm here, I'm ready to do this and third, and it's better than being cooped up at home. So something happened. Again, he talked to the one lady, Marcy. Something happened with like a divorce and this and that. There's that, and something happened, of course, with robots or something, right? Allegedly, because he has this. Mind you, he treats robots kind of sort of rude. He's tackling robots, and they ain't never did anything. So something has happened. And then the other part, he's like, and then the fact that for whatever reason, he's a cop, but I guess he was laid off, so something happened, and his chief is like, you don't have to come back right now. So there's an allusion to whatever happened. So we got to figure out, of course, what happened as to why he was staying at home and wasn't working for a period of time, and of course why he doesn't like robots particularly, which has been given up in the conversation with Gigi. He's like, the robots don't do no good. Him treating robots rude, bumping into them, move it, Canner, tackling the robots. So like he has something against robots. There's that. And anything else? No. Oh, but then the last thing that kind of sort of made me just like stop was again, if you do or don't know what Elon is trying to do in like LA and different things like that, as far as like with the Tesla, and then having like this whole underground path, where the last time I seen like even a visual for it was the fact that it would be, it takes the car underground, moves around this and the third, and then when it gets to its location, pushes it back up. In this one, you do see because I was looking, and it's like a lot of cars that's on like, I guess like the freeway or whatever, or the highway. But then when he turns off, I was like, bro, what are the cars that were in like, traffic when he just turned off when he's pulling up? But the car, then he gets out the car, and then whatever it does, it like takes the car, and like this other thing opens up, and then the car is like, I don't know, it's like a platform. If the car is like on a platform and it pulls the car out and then up into like, and then you see like a whole bunch of cars vertically just hanging from whatever. And it's just like a, I don't know how to explain that, but car just was pulled in, and then it's like a whole bunch of cars, just whatever, just hanging, and it like moves and rotates and stuff like that. So I'm not, I don't think, I don't think we're 9 years away from that. That seems very like, up there for as the way technology's been progressing through that. We seem like to be far away from that whole little parking garage thing, but that's definitely a thing. It doesn't seem too far fetched. So that was after 10 minutes.